Nadeem Shakir, Technical Director and Head of Transport Planning, MENA, Aurecon. Hello and welcome.
We will see.
Yeah, I think I'll just add to that. Dubai, as we all know, is a gleaming example of in terms of innovation and smart technologies. If you see over the last 2 years, what has literally happened in Dubai, it's a significant disruption which Dubai has created across the world. In 2017, I think, as Ian mentioned, that EC3, which is Enterprise Command and Control Center, when RT opened, it's a unique command center which is not controlling one traffic operation center. It's basically a multimodal control center which controls everything. And then after that, in September last year, we knew this test on the volocopters, the flying taxis, and February this year, we heard about these autonomous pods. So Dubai is already into that space, and your question is a very valid question that we know that all of these things are happening, but how can we quantify the impact of that? We did an internal study for ourselves to understand that once you introduce all this technology, what will be the difference in terms of the congestion, what's happening now in terms of the travel times, and how the congestion will reduce. To give you a very short example, what literally happens when you're driving a car, you will require a 2 seconds headway between the two cars, which is because of the reaction times coming into actions and everything. But if you replace that with technology, that means you can reduce your headways from 2 seconds to 1 second. So by doing that, the lane capacity of a road, which is about 2,000 vehicles per hour, can be increased to 4,000 vehicles per hour. So we use that logic and we apply that on the model. And we say if we keep the demand constant and simply change the technology, moving from physical to more on the digital technology, you can almost save about 25 to 30% of the travel time and congestion, which is directly related to the economic losses of the city. So again, this is all based on the hypothetical studies and everything which we have done, and which is very much in line with what RTA is saying. And RTA is the only city in the world which has got a clear vision that we want 25% autonomous trips by 2030, and it's all going to add together with the vision of reducing the congestion and improving of the quality of life of the residents in Dubai. So that's my view on it. Just to add on, you just mentioned about the government versus private sector. Particularly if you see from the transport perspective, 60% of the travel times is on the local roads, which is within the development, and 40% is on the strategic roads owned by government. So, which clearly indicates that developers will have to play an important role if they have to solve the citywide problem, because RTA might develop all these strategic road corridors and metros and transit system to solve the strategic connections. But if you don't have these first and last mile options and multimodal integration of the full network with the strategic, then it will be very difficult to solve the problem. And this 60% literally contributes the majority of the congestion losses which is happening in the city. So to answer your question, yeah, developers will have to come up, and you took an example of the GRT, one of the initiative which a developer has taken. It's not limited to GRT. I mean, we as a consultant work with a lot of private developers, and we are seeing the very first question when developer is asking is how my transport network look like, what will be the transit share or public transport share for my development. So they are very encouraged in Dubai, and the developers are very proactive in terms of getting this multimodal integration sorted out. Yeah, I would add on that, I think I really see a significant improvement which can have. Obviously technology comes with the opportunity. I was reading an article that one of the car manufacturer is working on the cars where it will say that if you make a trip from one point to another point, it will give you all the detail, how much, what was your blood pressure, how much money you have lost, and what is your health condition. So all the details. It's not only because what we see when we drive the car, what is fuel left and what is fuel not left. But in the future, the car manufacturer is coming with the details of your health and how much health you have lost in the condition, the money lost in the condition. They are also working in an area where they are saying that how much carbon footprint you have made for this particular trip, because people are not aware. People always know that strategic level, this is the carbon footprint, but no one knows that by making a trip or by doing something, how much they are adding the carbon footprint, which is directly, affecting the health and the environmental sustainability and all those things. I think technological advancements are working in that area. It might take some time, but I think the movements are happening. After that, one thing I think what Ian said, the biggest enemy of the technology is the technology. That's the problem. What's really happening is the disruption is really happening so quickly, so rapidly that by the time you think that this is a technology for the future, next day it becomes a technology for the past. So we really, I think, as a technology point of view, it's very difficult for expert to accept a technology. So if experts are struggling to accept the technology, obviously when you go to the public level, it becomes more and more difficult to accept that. For example, I mean, a lot of people, if you say iPhone 10, people will wait to buy iPhone 11 because they think a new generation iPhone is coming. The same with the car. So I think this is the problem. People are not sure where the technology is going to stabilize. People are not confident about the existing technology because they see the new technology is going to next day. So I think that level of stabilization is required, particularly whether it's transport or energy or building. Once we reach that level of stabilization, only then you will see the public getting involved and engaged, and the adoption and acceptance will come into play.